Hey YouTube, today we're going to be looking at some very different and unlikely weapons that I've grouped together here because I'm going to explain to you the difference in what single action and double action is. I'm going to do that in both semi-automatic and revolvers. And before we go any further, I'm going to tell you every one of these weapons have been safety checked and none of them have anything in them, and when I pick them up I will show you each time I pick one up that it has nothing in it. So what we have here, just to make things a little fun, I have some really high-end weapons here and I have some really low-end weapons here. So from left to right, I have a Wilson Combat 1911 chambered 45 ACP. I have a Ruger P97 chambered in 45 ACP. I have a Heritage Rough Rider revolver chambered in 22 long rifle or 22 Magnum, whichever cylinder you decide to put in it. And I have an original Colt Python. Why not make it fun? We'll take out some of the cool ones here. That one's chambered in 357 Magnum. So we'll start off with what the single action mean. Single action means that the hammer has to be cocked every time the weapon is fired. And this little Heritage Rough Rider here is a single action revolver, and I'll show you that it doesn't have anything in it. We'll go through every cylinder. I've already checked it, but it means it has to be every time the hammer's pulled back, it will fire, and it will not fire again until you cock the hammer. That's what single action means. That means there's no other kind of action except for one, meaning single. Every time you fire it, you have to pull the hammer back. And they make that also in semi-automatics, and this one here is, and this one here is a great example. This is a 1911. These things are single action only, so every time the hammer's cocked back, let me show you there's nothing in it. Every time the hammer's cocked back, that's the only time it will fire. So I'm going to pull this back, and it will fire. And it will not fire again until the hammer's cocked. That is called single action. So both of these weapons, the Wilson Combat here and the Heritage Rough Rider here, are both single action. Now, we'll go into what they call double action. And we're going to go into this Ruger P97. This is a semi-automatic, and there's nothing in it either. And when you pull back this hammer, you can fire it, and the trigger pull is very light. But you can also release this trigger and just pull it without cocking it, and you see it will fire. It will move the hammer, and it will fire on double action. So you have single action like that, and you have double action like that. And this Colt Python here has got nothing in it. This is a original Colt Python. This isn't one of the newer ones. You can cock the hammer on this and it will fire. And you can also just pull the trigger on it and it will fire. So you got single action and then you have double action. So basically, this Ruger here is a double action semi-automatic, and this Colt Python here is a double action revolver. They both work almost identical same way. This Wilson Combat 1911 and this Heritage Rough Rider, they both work almost the same way. You have to cock the hammer every time you fire it. Now, the only difference here is in a semi-automatic, such as this 1911 here, when you pull the hammer back, you're going to fire it. That's going to cycle the slide back, and that's what cocks the hammer. And then you fire it again, and the slide cycles every time. But if that slide didn't cycle, you cannot fire this thing ever again. See, it will not pull. With the revolver, when you pull it back, you fire it, it has nothing to cycle it except for your thumb. So you have to pull it back and then fire it, just like that. So basically that's the only difference in them, and I want to show y'all that they have double action weapons such as the revolver and the rigger here. And they have single action ones. It will not go off unless it's actually worked by your hand. Both of them single action. But anyway, folks, none of these weapons really have anything in common except for, it's very unlikely to group these particular weapons together, except for the fact that I wanted to explain to you the difference in single action and double action. These are both single action, these are both double action. If you have any questions on how these things work, feel free to ask. I have individual videos on each one of these that goes into the weapons in depth. This video is not really about the weapons though. This is mainly on different types of actions and how they work. And I was just gonna give you a comparison between a double action pistol or revolver and a single action pistol or revolver. So anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.